All right, you grasshoppers. Whew, whew. It's like thank God. I mean, it's like every Monday at 11:30. That's all it's a collective thank God when everybody sees the happy face come on the screen here. Mark Puttenvink, how you doing, brother?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good, I'm doing excellent. So people that don't know, it's Mark Puttenvink. He's got a company called Patriot Training Systems. Obviously trains everybody physically, psychologically, boxing, military personnel, whatever it is. He can just go train anybody. He's taught me a lot of stuff. My new favorite exercise he taught me to the Jefferson deadlift. Yeah. I get fired up to do that now. I can't wait to do it all the time. But how's the weekend? Good?
Yeah, quiet. Just did some work, and that's pretty much it. Next weekend I'll be down with Bill Brown. We're doing a 2-day tactical course for law enforcement. So
people that don't remember, Bill Brown is a former Navy SEAL. He was the one that spearheaded the swim across the Hudson that Mark and I participate in. So he's quite a guy too. He's a very successful lawyer now. He was at one, actually, if everybody saw the video, 2 years ago now, right? We did that shooting out in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Put us all
that was
together.
A great day.
That was too. So it's fantastic. So we went out there. So it was kind of a thank you for us helping with the swim across the Hudson through friends of friends. This one gentleman owns a farm out in Pennsylvania. So we went out there, and I really didn't know what we were getting into. I knew we were doing tactical shooting and everything. And this Bill Brown, the former SEAL, like really great guy, but when he's on point, right? He's the leader, and he doesn't sugarcoat things. He doesn't care what your feelings. He's there to teach you something. And most of us, there's a lot of guys that shot guns before, and I'd shot guns, but it's been a long time. But he starts in, he says, okay, you're assigned, you're going to volunteer to do the tourniquets. You're volunteering to drive. You're the other driver. And I'm thinking, what do you mean tourniquets? What do you mean driver? It's like going to the hospital. People get shot in training. And I was like, holy, what did I get myself? Remember that?
And also he made a great point, Tom, that most of the accidents happen on your last rep of the day.
Oh,
because everybody lets their guard down. Maybe you get a little bit in a comfort mode, and and he would know all the evolutions of training he's done in his life that's the case, that it's usually the very last rep.
Right. And he was fantastic. By the time he trained us up and we started really shooting the guns and working as a team together, I felt totally comfortable that I knew what I was doing, So he was excellent.
We were out there for 7 hours.
I know. He at one point we were doing this thing where we're like guys were all lined up. What happened is we're covering each other. Remember how it worked, right? We were shooting.
It was a linear.
We have to move, and then we shoot. And I was beside his son, and he was so when the gun is discharging, it discharges the shells, the hot shells are coming out of there. And his son was to my back, and he was discharging his weapon, and the hot shells were hitting my back. And his son was a really nice young man. He was kind of, I'm sorry, I was hitting you in the back, and it felt incredible. It was like I really felt like I was getting all wrapped up, like I was out in battle and everything. So
it was a great day, really great day.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I know we touched on some physical stuff too, but the psychology that goes into sports, to training and everything. So right now the Rangers are going through a little bit of a tough stretch. They're not playing at the last couple of games. They didn't play well against the Islanders at all. Shesterkin, who really I think had been saving them a lot of times. Again, they're a good team, but he's stolen some games. So he had a rough night last night, for example. So what for the young player like that? And I even think to myself, why do we lose our confidence sometimes?
Well, I think it's a number of things. First off, a guy like Shesterkin, I think you and I would have a hard time talking to him as a coach. Really need a goaltending coach that understands the mentality. And I think the overriding thing you have to say to the team in particular is that we've talked about this in the past. This is a data point. We can refer to it, but it's in the past. So we got to just, get our game face on, get back to work. And, there's new personnel in it. And I think at first it clicked, but I was watching last night. I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular, but I think some of the connections aren't quite there yet.
Right.
With the top six.
Oh.
Like Vetrano played really well at the beginning. And it looked last night to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like he's pressing a little bit.
Right. Because all of a sudden he came in, was doing so well, and he wants to continue that.
Because you know how it is. You get traded or something, you're motivated, and it's not a knock on him. It's everyone. And I think they made a good point last night too with this. And again, it's about educating them. So they have to realize a couple things: data point, move on. But also, you're playing against teams that aren't in the playoffs. They have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So they're just they're playing with house money, and I think that's part of it too. So I think it's an educational thing, especially at the professional level, as you know more than I would ever know. But that it's more about just talking your way through it.
Yeah.
Now I know there's players in the past, and it still goes on all the time, that are goal scorers. They go into a slump,
Yeah.
And they'll sleep with their stick. They do all kinds of superstitious things. And I think I mentioned this a while back, but Dave Tippett came up with a really cool game plan. And this was for Shane Doan. And Shane was going through a little bit of a little tough skid there. And he said, look, I want you to play a game within a game. And you're gonna have a 10-point system. And every game you got to strive to hit that 10 points. So let's break it up. Each hit, that's a point. So you got to get at least 3 hits a night. So there's 3. 3 takeaways. So now you're up to 6. And then maybe a couple shots on goal, whatever it is. But he put together, and it worked because it made him focus on his game as opposed to one aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I really like that.
Especially with a player that Doan's stature, right? He puts maybe too much pressure on his shoulders to help the team win, right? You just do your job, really is all you have to. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I noticed with Shesterkin last night too. The announcers were talking about it, where normally with Shesterkin in net for the goal for the Rangers, if a goal goes in, you don't know that he's even fazed by it. He's concentrated. Right. He's past it. It's over with. But he had that first goal that he clearly missed with his glove, where he was they were talking about being halfway between blocking it with his body and trying to catch it with his glove. And after, they said that he was continually, they could see he was like replaying it in his mind, like actually not just in his mind, but replaying it physically. Like, how did I miss that one? Right. Which is not like him to you're right. You really want to try to move on in the game. Later on, you can look back at the play. That's why I'm surprised. Like even the players like Crosby, a lot of them are doing it. They've got those iPads on the bench.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the bench. That drove me nuts before replaying the play past. I guess you want to learn from it, but I wanted to concentrate on the next play coming up, right? But
I think everyone's different from that aspect. Some guys like to go watch the cartoons after the game. I think a guy like Crosby, because he's at it's just the way his mind operates. He's at a different level than most players. I think he wants instant feedback. He wants instant feedback. And again, that's a self-teaching moment as opposed to a coach teaching moment.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that he does that himself. Yeah.
He's at that level. I don't know if everybody could do that. But I know that, again, going back many years ago, what Tony Esposito said, and this would relate to Shesterkin, he said, I play 5-minute games. I want to shut them out for 5 minutes. If they score on me, I start the clock again for the next 5. I don't look at the full game. Right. It's like golf. I mean, you can't look at the 18 holes. You got to play stroke by stroke.
Yeah. But that is, and people say sometimes, well, these guys are making millions of dollars. They should have the confidence. It's got nothing to do with money. It's like we're all human beings. It doesn't matter whether you're a kid, you're an adult. Everybody loses their confidence when they're out there participating in the sport.
Well, you're playing against someone.
Right. That's part of life too, right? I mean, people lose their confidence in life sometimes. Yeah.
I think as far as a professional player, they make a lot of money, but so is the guy they're playing against. So it's all relative.
Yeah. So I was lucky. The Rangers. I talked about this morning with Kevin Allen. The Rangers flew me into Pittsburgh on Tuesday.
I saw that. Tuesday. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So these two gentlemen, nice guys here in Greenwich, where I live, bid on a package to go to Pittsburgh, watch the game. Oh, and cool. It was really just Craig Patrick was there, Mike Ruzioni, Pierre LaRouche that I'd played with there. Mario Lemieux's got his box there, and he's had a fantasy camp. So he brings in a bunch of his buddies, former NHL players. So I walked in there, and Paul Coffey was there, Grant Fuhrer, Joey Mullen, Randy Hillier, Ty Domi was there, Mary was there, obviously. I'm trying to think who else was there. But it's really interesting because, we talked about this before. The hockey world is fantastic where guys like Hillier, like Paul Coffey, I've known a little bit. Grant Fuhrer's a great guy. You see these guys, even though we never played together, we're all excited to see each other again, right? It's weird, like little kids. Randy Hillier and I don't think have ever spoken to each other, but we played against each other. We were kind of similar kind of players, grinded out guys. Yeah. And when we saw each other, it's like we were the best friends. We'd never spoken to each other at all. We walked up to each other like, "Hey, how you doing?" It's like, I think it's one of those deals that when you're playing against each other, you're kind of like you respect the guy, but you're kind of thinking, "Oh, geez, what a jerk he is," because they call me a jerk. These things I did. And, that's pretty fun.
But he's a right-handed D-man, right?
Yep, Randy Hillier. Yep, he played Boston. Played really like a guy, one of those guys I really admired because he just showed up every day and did the things he had to do for his team. Yeah,
he was around for quite a while.
Yeah. Ty Domi was there sucking up to Mario.
Ty Domi, and when he stood next to me in the garden, his head.
Oh, Jesus. He's got the little body, too. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Pat Tupuzzo told me a story. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah. He told me he knew a guy that he fought Domi in junior.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And or he didn't fight, but his teammate fought Domi, and they had the buckets off. And when they went to the box, the kid picked up Domi's bucket. He said he was able to put it over his helmet and spin it. That's how big his head is.
That's funny. Yeah. I shouldn't laugh because the guys I think I told you the story. I had to sign a waiver because they had to get a smaller liner for my helmet than the normal size. And
you got a big head too. Yeah,
big head. They guys would take my helmet after practice and I go around put the pucks in it like it was a bucket.
That's big headed. Yeah, use it for a puck bucket.
There's a funny one. I can't remember the player. It was when John Scott, the big tough guy, was in Buffalo. There's a funny video clip showing where one of his teammates must got a fight or something like that, or lost his helmet, had to go over the penalty box, didn't have a helmet. So they sent him over a helmet. They sent over John Scott's helmet. And the guy put it on, and it was hilarious, the video, because it was one of those things like it's sitting out, to the side. Like
yeah.
Oh God.
No, I've always had a hard time finding a helmet. Usually they feel like a vice grip. I get a headache from things.
Oh yeah. I don't wear it anymore. We've got an alumni game coming up, and I just don't wear it. People are like, why don't you wear a helmet? Because I can't get on one.
Can't find one fit. Yeah, I'm just
get a bunch of Vaseline, slide it on. But Ty Domi does that. It is funny looking at Ty because when he's got the tiny little body. He's not a big man. He's shaped and all that kind of stuff, but he's got that big bucket of his. I actually was watching some old videos of him and Bob Probert going at it.
Oh God, yeah.
Probert must have hit him one time like 40 times.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's a scary guy. When you hit somebody with your best shot and they're still in front of you, that's not good.
Isn't that true? Because when I played against him, that was my thought. I was thinking, okay, first of all, I don't want to fight this guy. He came in that later on in my career. So I'm thinking, okay, if I do fight him, I'm not even going to hurt this guy. I'm going to give him my best shot. Right. He's just a blockhead.
That's what I mean. That's a scary guy. It was like that too. Was I think the Grim Reaper. He could take a shot too. Yeah. He had a good beard. Yeah, it's funny though, because we see the same thing in boxing. Some guys, you hit them with your best shot and they're still there, and you go, okay, now what?
I know, right? Yeah, that's the psychological side of that. Yeah. Ron Jameson here chiming in. Best helmet in hockey, Butch Goring.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That thing should be in the Smithsonian.
Yeah. The other one that was good too, Robbie Ftorek and Mike Foligno both had those moon helmets, right?
Yeah. And it looked weird on Robbie because he's so small.
Oh yeah, totally. And you worked with Robbie when you guys were both in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, Albany.
Oh, that's right too. Yeah, Robbie's one of my all-time favorite teammates. And he wasn't a guy that we'd never go out and have cocktails with the teammates. He's just so disciplined, and I got to respect him so much. He was not judgmental at all. He would let other guys do whatever they want to do, but he was going to stick to what he wanted. And you talk about the breaking segments, so. I can't remember which coach it was. It might have been Herb. I can't remember who it was, but it must have been Teddy Sater. And he would come in and say, okay, we're going to have 5 game segments. We're going to break it down. So how many games should we win out of the 5 games? And Robbie was adamant that he would say 5. And because his logic was, he says, okay, so if we say we're going to win 4, if we win the first 4 out of the 5, screw up that we don't have to win. We don't have to win the 5th game.
Right.
And it would drive Teddy Sater nuts because he knew it was coming, and Robbie just would not change. He said, "Nope, this is it. We're 5 games. That's it. So we're done." We tell a funny story. I saw Craig Patrick when we were in Pittsburgh and everything. Great guy, and he'd gotten into this the mental part of the game a lot more than we did at that time. I'm there now, and I know you believe in that stuff. So he brought in, at one point we were struggling. He brought in this gentleman he's a sports psychiatrist supposedly, and we were meeting up at a hotel room. The ballroom, whatever, the whole team's there. And this guy is up in front of us, and he's jumping up and down on a miniature trampoline, and he's telling us that he's a better quarterback than Dan Marino. Now I don't know what this has got to do. So we're all a bunch of mudheads giggling about it, And Craig says, "That's fine. If you don't believe it, that's fine." So Robbie, once he started doubting this guy's credibility whatsoever, right. So he asked him what his credentials were. So the guy pulls out a little green card out of his wallet that said he had from the University of France. He had a surgeon's degree or something like that. Had nothing to do with sports psychology.
It was psychology.
Yeah. Oh, so this just set Robbie off. Robbie would get mad. His face is beet red and everything. So this guy went on, and I had just lost my spleen earlier that season. And he knew that I did not believe in what he was saying either. I was kind of edging Robbie on, like, get him, Robbie, get him. And the guy at the end of this presentation, he goes, well, and the energy comes down from the universe through your spleen into your body. And he looks at me and he goes, do you believe that, Tom? And the guys all around me were going, Tom, just say yes, because they knew if I'd say yes, the thing would be over. I couldn't
Would
do it.
be over.
No,
Couldn't
I
do
don't. I don't mind at all. So the guy went on for another hour, and Robbie was Steve and stuff. But Robbie was great. He was became a coach. He coached me there in LA, and ton of respect for Robbie. He lost his daughter recently. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Years.
You know, one thing I found out about Robbie later on too, that he's known in his hometown, but I think he's from Needham, I think Massachusetts. They remember him more as a soccer player than they do a hockey player. Apparently, he was a tremendous soccer player.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Great guy.
But the sports psychologist kind of stuff. I mean, look, if you want to believe in it and it works for you, fine.
Yeah.
There's certainly things you can do, but I think Melrose was coaching LA, and he brought in Anthony Robbins during the playoffs. And I kind of thought, listen, man, if you need to be motivated in a Stanley Cup final, there's something wrong with you.
I know. Yeah.
Am I right on that one?
I agree totally. I never would have thought, and I never would have thought of it from a guy like Barry Melrose, who's kind of like that old school guy.
Yeah.
So you kind of wonder, like, okay, it obviously worked. They went to the finals.
Yeah.
But there's been times, like, remember who was it? Red Kelly with the Toronto Maple Leafs had the pyramid power, right? He put the pyramids underneath the bench and everything.
Well, Ivan Boldarev, Chicago Blackhawks, he believed, and I mean, I believe in it too. I don't know how it applies to sport, but I guess it can in terms of focus. He used to do transcendental meditation in a locker room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, especially when you talk about this stuff in terms of when we were doing it, like when Robbie was disciplined, transcendental, like that kind of stuff back in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, that was way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
I thought, was it Duguay, or did you tell me drinking some kind of green crap? Somebody came through with the Rangers.
He started doing that later on. Like he started when we played together in LA. He started drinking filtered water. He'd have his own little filtered cup, and it's like, dude, he's sitting with him in Manhattan someplace pounding beers, and now he's filtered water. But we all changed. But that's what. We're laughing about it. But I've certainly changed my life. I know you have. You know, my training techniques, the things I eat now.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this much: as far as the goaltending goes, I remember when Danny Blackburn was sitting there. And, when you walk in, this goaltenders are right here. And he's doing, so I look at Rambo, I go, is he all right? He goes, yeah, he's just visualizing. Right. And that's a huge thing in all sport now. And all kidding aside, even in combat, like teaching people self-defense and military shooting and stuff, it's a lot of visualization. And there's an absolute connection between learning a skill set and maintaining it. Wow. There's a famous story, Tom. It's hard to believe, but there was a Vietnam prisoner in the Hanoi Hilton who was in there for I want to say 3 or 4 years, solitary confinement. He was an Air Force pilot, but he was a golfer. And every day to get through the day, he'd play 2 or 3 rounds in his head.
That's that right.
And when he got out and played, his handicap dropped.
Is that right?
That's true story. Yeah. True story.
Yeah, I do that now, and we talked about this before, where we're supposed to get proper amount of sleep, but very often I don't get enough sleep. Wow, so when I'm going to the gym in the morning, I find myself, if I can find some songs on, some music on my car, then I'll play that to get me going. If I can't, then I get silent and I just concentrate on myself working out. I visualize myself working. I'm really getting a hard workout. Even though I'm tired, I'm thinking I know I'm going to have to work hard. Maybe you don't feel like it that certain day. But I know when I start visualizing, then by the time I get to the gym, I'm fired up, man.
I found something on the internet. I had to send it to Brendan Duffy. It was a cartoon. The guy is up, and you see the alarm clock. It says 3 a.m. Right. It says me watching the sleep doctor talk about sleep at 3 a.m. So I sent it over to Brendan. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be clear with Brendan, we have total respect for Brendan.
Oh, that's absolutely.
His world. He's all into the sleep and all that kind of stuff. I remember the first time he contacted us, I think you and I were kind of, we don't need sleep kind of thing. And he sent the science. It's science.
No, it's absolutely true. Well, he sent me a book. Vancouver had a quote unquote sleep coach. And it's a fascinating book. Yeah. Oh yeah. All the different research and study. And it's, Vancouver's, I think, got the worst travel in the league, I would believe at this point. Maybe, Seattle might be pretty close, but yeah, so they've been trying all kinds of things over the years to deal with jet lag,
So what, we've really discussed this, and in fairness, I really haven't taken a deep dive into the sleep part of it too. So I remember when I was down in Virginia Beach, there was a former Navy SEAL at a training center there, and they, all aspects of your physical and mental well-being. And he was talking the most important thing of everything: diet, training, sleep. Sleep was the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Brendan educated me that, like, if you get less than 6 hours of sleep, when you wake up, you're almost legally drunk in terms of your cognitive abilities and your mobility and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And the positive sides of sleep is like it supports your hormone growth and everything too. Is all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, a lot of good things happen. I mean, you get cellular reconstruction, I would want to say, like, so like if you did a hard training day, there's a lot of repair that goes on, but it's absolutely hormonal. Like, you release a lot more growth hormone at night when you're sleeping than you do during the day.
So a lot of the same benefits of autophagy when you're fat.
Right.
Fast.
And I mean, if you combine those things, the growth hormone and the autophagy, that's really where the body recomposition really takes off. If you can combine.
Getting that slack when you're going through the autophagy stage, sleeping during that stage. Is that correct?
Yeah, and Brendan would have to correct me, but I think you release the most growth hormone when you're in REM, rapid eye movement.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not so I'm fasting from 8 o'clock at night until noon the next day. So autophagy doesn't start until after 12 hours, right?
Correct.
So I'm really not resting during the state of autophagy that I have for 4 hours.
No, but you're still getting, I mean, the same benefit from it, because if you're getting the proper amount of sleep, then you're releasing. If you're getting a lot of REM, then you're releasing a lot of growth hormone.
Okay.
And I think and Brendan would correct me if I'm wrong, but my thinking is that part of the reason we age physically is because as we get older, it's harder to get that amount of REM. So we're not releasing that growth hormone.
Right. Yeah, because I don't sleep enough. I know, but it just seems like it's just the way it is. And I seem like
I'm a fish out of water.
I know. Yeah.
My shoulders, I'm in pain. It's bad when you got to psych yourself up to go to bed. You know what I mean? Like, you go, it's like a fight. It's going to be a battle. I know it.
That is true. Because when I'm up and moving, my back is fine. But sometimes when I lay in bed, you lay there too long, the back gets sore, and you don't want to roll over. And,
Beth will tell me. She said, "You didn't sleep last night." And I'll say, "Yeah, because then I'm keeping her up. Which is not a good thing."
Yes, and she's mad. She can't be mad at you though. There's no way she
never gets mad at me, Tom. No,
she's just used to all the crap.
She just pretty much shakes her head and keeps walking. There was one time she came down and she was during COVID working out in the house, and she was doing calf raises on the stairs coming down into the living room. Right. And I was taping something. I was doing some stuff with a knife. You got to remember, this is like at 5:45 in the morning.
Right.
Taping. Listen to me. But I'm recording something. Yeah. And so here you could see Beth in the background come down the stairs. She looks over at me, and then she just keeps doing her thing. Like, in other words, most women or anybody would look over and see a dude in the living room at 5 in the morning with a knife doing all this crazy stuff. And she was just like, nah, it's just.
That's it. We didn't expect anything less, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're disappointed if that didn't happen. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So. We got to schedule a parade for her one of these days.
Oh, definitely. Sainthood, right? Get the priest in and do a benediction or something like that, whatever they do. Sad news, I guess it's been reported that Mike Bossy's got his health is declining. So
what's he have? Lung cancer, I think.
I believe it was cancer. Yeah. We've got an
Lafleur.
We got an alumni game, Islanders Rangers, coming up on the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming there'll be some kind of a ceremony because we've lost Roger Bear, Emile Francis, John Potvin, Clark Gillies, Mike Bossy knows what happens.
Yeah. So, I forgot about John Potvin too. Yeah, and Guy Lafleur apparently is pretty sick too. Right?
Yeah.
He was a big cigarette smoker, wasn't he, Tom?
Yeah, he was. He was actually kind of famous for being this. But I'll tell you, he's one of those guys that like I did not play with him. He played with the Rangers. I was gone by the time he got there. But I'll never forget, going into the Montreal Forum the first time and playing against Bob Gainey, Larry Robinson, all those guys. Just being in the Forum. And the Forum was one of those places too, like Maple Leaf Gardens the same way. When you're sitting in the bench, there's no glass separating you from the fans.
Right.
They're sitting right beside you. I mean, that as a young guy, like not just Canada, but growing up in Canada, watching Hockey Night Canada all the time, the Montreal Forum, Maple Leaf Gardens, those places were legendary.
Yankee Stadium.
Oh, I'll never forget
Yankee Stadium. Yeah.
The two, I told the story, but when my second game in the league was in Toronto, the first night we played up in Boston, and I shot the puck in my own net. And I really hadn't been told that I made the team yet. I was still with them, but I wasn't. They didn't say, "Okay, Tom, now go get a place to stay," which was kind of the signal that it was the signal that you made the team. So second game in Toronto, my parents are there. They're from right outside of Toronto, and Robert Picard butt ended me right in front of our bench. I stood up, suckered him. I'll never forget the feeling where it's like, okay, I'm in Maple Leaf Gardens. I just knocked the guy out cold at center ice. Daryl Sittler now skating over to me, wanting to get a piece of me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, it's one of those moments where you're thinking, this is unbelievable.
Is this really happening?
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's funny. The other one was, it was a couple of years later. Again, I told the story, so I won't dwell on it, but Larry Robinson was one of my favorite players. Just admired him. He could do everything: fight, hit, score, kill penalties, power play, do whatever. And we were at center ice. I was an assistant captain, and some play had been called, and we were both there talking. Larry's beside me to my left, and we're talking to the referee about whatever the play was. And then all of a sudden, I hear this chirping, and I'm trying not, like, I'm still somewhat, this is Larry Robinson standing right beside me. And I hear this chirping coming to the left of me. I'm thinking, oh, okay, the referee's not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. There's only 3 people here. Larry Robinson's chirping me. And the referee, he could tell what was going on too. He's got the little grin on his face. And I turned over to Larry, and he says, "What do you want, old man?" I'm thinking, "You call me old man?" And then he just skated away, died laughing. And the referee thought it was hilarious. So those kinds of things happen in those buildings. And so,
well, you know what? When I was, I guess, high school and early college, I'm trying to remember now, but the New Year's Eve games when the Soviet Red Army team would play the Montreal Canadiens at the Forum.
Yeah,
they were just awesome games.
Yeah,
I mean, that was that lineup, kid.
Yeah,
I mean, I think there were 11 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah.
You got Serge Savard, you got Larry, you got Guy, you got Jacques Lemaire, you got Gainey, you got Stevie Shutt, you got Ivan Cormier. I mean, the lineup was just sick.
I know.
Like,
it's incredible.
And
the whole thing going into the Montreal Forum too, it was just like it was just, you're in awe as a young player. You're like, oh my God, this is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got to go there. I went to the Molson Center. Good hot dogs there.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I haven't been to the new one yet. The best hot dogs, total hot dogs. Okay. Do you know where the best hot dogs in the National Hockey League? Like,
no.
Undisputedly?
Chicago? Quebec.
Yes.
Really?
Something about them. We would, after the game, it was like before in every other building, all we wanted to do was get beer. When we were in Quebec, we wanted hot dogs. I don't know what it was. It was something with the buns, the way they did it. Yeah.
I think it was the buns. Yeah. Because the same thing in Montreal. I think it was those buttered kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
it really brings it up to another level. When you're eating those cancer sticks, you want to slather them in butter. So you're getting cancer and arterial sclerosis all at the same time.
Isn't it funny now? I give everybody a hard time. If I hear they're eating hot dogs, I say, why don't you just put that in the blender, put it in a needle, shoot it right into your veins. Just
they're the most toxic food product on the planet, I think. Really bad.
We had the Rangers had me going out. It was before Christmas out to Arizona with some fans. The Rangers playing out there, and we golfed. I wasn't a golfer, but I was riding around. And one gentleman there, former, he was in the Army, I think, too. Great guy, had ordered a hot dog, and him and I we were getting to know each other, but I really wasn't like buddies with him yet. So I started ribbing about the hot dog, and it was funny because he felt like, okay, I'm one of the boys now, So he was.
Well, I remember in Montreal, I think Dale and do you remember Rem Murray?
Yeah, I represented Rem Murray actually. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Great kid. He was so that polite kid. If he didn't pardon, just a really great kid.
Totally. Yeah.
And he had a weird kind of accent or something. Didn't he hit his head
neck
or
his
neck or something?
Yeah.
But anyway, those two guys. Now Dale. I love Dale, but he was a knucklehead. Still is. Yeah. I talked to him a lot. They took me to Harvey's. I never had that poutine or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I didn't eat it. I looked at it. I'm not eating that. And they're like, "You got to eat it." I'm saying, "I'm not eating that." No.
It's French fries with cheese and gravy. Is that what it is?
Curds.
Curds. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember used to eat the Rye Grill. It was called the Mug and Ale. It's called the Mug and Ale. That's where we used to go all the time, and they had French fries and gravy. And I'd eat French fries and gravy. I think of that now. I'm like, oh God.
I know. I don't even know how we made it this far.
I know, no kidding. I guess it's different when you're playing because you're burning so many calories off and all that kind of stuff. But some of the foods we eat, the beer we drink, it
was poison. Just poison.
I know, terrible foods. Yes. Now worst thing I eat is like a multi-grain cracker. I feel like I'm cheating on my diet.
Well, I saw the sushi. Look good, man.
Thank you. You know what I learned too? I did not know this.
I would say you're on a roll.
Very nice, very nice. I did not know this. We'll just go right past that one. that when they season the rice, they season it with rice vinegar,
Oh yeah, you were saying.
sugar, and salt. So I just took the sugar and salt out of it and just used the rice vinegar. Didn't seem to make a difference. So healthier.
Yeah, I know you made a comment about my salad, but it was actually really
That's right, too. That's right.
We'll leave the comment for another time, but no, it's a labor intensive salad because there's a lot of cleaning you got to do, but it's really good.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's good too.
And watercress is supposed to be really high in all kinds of
phytonutrients. I heard that, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
my son and his wife had given me some watercress. Yeah, that's very interesting. What would be your most healthy? Like, if you were going to make a meal that you have, what's the most healthy meal that you make yourself?
That would be one of them. I mean, a watercress salad. So, I mean, the protein's a protein. So whether you're doing chicken or beef or whatever, fish.
So you're not worried about eating beef too much? I guess if you eat it too much, you'd be concerned about it? Or?
Too much, yeah. I think twice a week is probably the limit. And that's just my call on it. And that's about where I am with it. And usually it's bison. And
bison's
maybe
leaner.
it's much leaner. You can't cook it too long because it'll dry out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bison, venison, and beef. But yeah, so like the watercress salad I make, again, that's with Granny Smith apples cut up in there, some onion, and it's really simple, really easy vinaigrette to make, but it's really, and toasted almonds. Almonds are great for you. And then the other one I make is a kale salad, which is similar, except that you take your potatoes that are not fried, but like kind of you parboil them, and then you put them in a little butter to crisp them up. You put it right into the salad. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Oh, okay. I did that when I made my corned beef nachos. The recipe called for, so I sliced the potatoes about half an inch thick, parboiled them, and then put them in the air fryer. And that acted as my tortilla chips.
Right. There you go. Yeah. So you get a little texture, a little crunch. But yeah, I think the best is I always try to get a really green leafy vegetable in my dinner, and then protein and a starch. And actually, rice is not bad for you. Rice is actually one of your
I agree. And you know what? The regular potatoes I was staying away from too. But if you don't put any sour cream or butter on them, they're fine. It's just a low fat carb, really, right?
Yeah. It's a starchy carb. I was reading an article about how, again, there's a lot of food partitioning, and that's been going on for years. In other words, eating your protein separate at a separate time from your fats and all that. I think it's a little bit. There might be some truth to it. I don't know how much, but it all has to do with your glucose levels, your insulin levels, and that will determine how much body fat you hold on to from your food. Because what the insulin does, it transports the fat to the fat cell.
So do you have the proteins first or last?
No, you have it after. According to what I was reading the other day, you have it afterwards. So you eat like, say, like some avocado, which is a really healthy fat, right? And then you eat the protein afterwards, and you need some carbohydrate too, because you can't assimilate protein without carbohydrate.
Oh, interesting. Wow, I never heard that before.
Although there's people out there now just doing a carnivore diet. I think Joe Rogan's doing it.
Oh,
yeah. So
what? What kind of cardboard?
Just carnivore. All they eat is meat. 100% meat diet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Like meat as in beef? Or chicken?
Any form of beef. Anything. As long as it's an animal. And Jordan Peterson, who you know that is, right? Canadian professor Jordan Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
He's so his daughter had horrible allergies, and mostly skin allergies. And the only thing that cured her was just going on a completely carnivore diet. But see, that's specific to her. She must have had some kind of immune compromised issue with carbohydrate or whatever. She had a reaction to it.
That's interesting.
I think at the end of the day, Tom, it's common sense.
Like I even find like this. I'm a full believer in the science behind intermittent fasting, but I have noticed, I'm trying to lean out a little bit now. Summer's coming up, and I found like I'm not fasting as much. I'm still fasting probably 3 or 4 days a week. Like I'm fasting today. I'll eat when we're done. But in the days where I have a breakfast, like a sensible breakfast, I still feel like I'm eating out too. I don't know. So
you could be. I mean, there's a lot of people that they do the intermittent fasting. They only pick 1 or 2 days a week to do it.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of breaking away from, I think we get stuck in that rut too when we think about eating breakfast. If you do want to eat breakfast, people think, well, it's got to be eggs or toast or something. There's nothing wrong with having another meal. Like I made some chickpea pasta the other day and put all kinds of vegetables in with it and had that for breakfast. You know,
So
you know
one
the
of
other
the
thing. You know the other thing I've just real quick that I've gotten into. I'm trying to stay away from as much sodium as possible. So I'm putting jalapeno peppers in a lot of my stuff.
yeah,
It
oh,
seems
yeah.
like get my spice out of that instead of getting salt. So go ahead.
I was going to say there was years ago I read a study. So they were talking about starvation diets and why they don't work.
Right.
So like people that go down like say a 1,200 calorie a day diet, which is medically probably the limit. You don't want to go
Right.
any lower than 1,200 calories. But the theory is that if you want to do that type of diet, you do it like 2 days and then you go. So let's say you're taking in 3,000 calories.
Right.
So for 2 days, you take in 2,500 calories. Then you can go
Right.
back up to 3,000. And the thinking was that if you stay at a deficit for too long, your body goes into starvation mode because it's saying, hey, Tom is not feeding me like he used to.
Sure.
So I'm going to hold on to more of this in terms of body fat because we're always preparing for the winter physically.
Right.
You want to store a lot of body fat for the winter. So what they did was, so you go 2 or 3 days at the 2,500 calorie, then you go back up to 3,000 and then back down. So you don't go into starvation mode, but you still get the benefit of the caloric reduction over that 2-day period. So it kind of makes sense. And essentially that's what you're doing if you only do IF twice a week.
Right. Yeah.
Because it is less calories.
Right. So when I went on Survivor, I bulked up a little bit. I probably packed about an extra 10 pounds of fat on, thinking I'm not going to eat hardly at all.
Right.
And I normally bring in around 3,500 calories a day. So they say on Survivor, just based on the rice and coconuts, it's probably around 300 calories a day. And in 2 weeks, I lost 27 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah. But again, remember, I really bulked up, put 10 extra pounds on.
But still, that's crazy.
Right. And you're moving all the time. It's like you're not sitting around. There's no sitting around watching TV or anything like that. So I guess
they keep you hydrated though on that show, I guess.
They give you a hydration packet to put in with the water,
right,
and a vitamin packet once a day. That's all you get.
Wow.
And the rest is rice and coconuts. And I did not realize until after, or pretty quickly, how much of a diuretic coconuts were. Oh man. Yeah. And that's all. The first 3 days we couldn't get our fire started, so we couldn't cook the rice. So all we had was coconuts. And it was, I know. It was woke up in the middle of the night one time and I had to run.
I guess you never want to have a coconut again the rest of your life.
No, I can't. If I don't ever have another coconut. Although we had one challenge that we won and we got a spice rack with it, which was huge. It's amazing how much. Now we can spice up the rice and spice up the coconuts. So it's much better. But yeah, you know what's funny with that too? I guess it kind of makes sense when you get done, and everybody says the same thing. You get on a boat right away, and they have a menu right there in front of you, and the guy's there with the walkie-talkie, and he'll radio ahead any kind of food you want. So I ordered a pizza, cheeseburger, fries, 6-pack of beer on ice, the whole bit. Got back there, eat half the cheeseburger, one slice of pizza, and half a beer. That was it. Yeah, it's incredible. Man.
No, it's. I remember when I used to have to make weight, and then after the competition, I'd always celebrate with a meal. And the same thing is like, I just couldn't finish it. Yeah.
I'll show you a picture one day of me. They took a picture of me the day after the show.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see that. Yeah.
27 pounds less. It's almost like, oh man.
Well, what do you walk around now? 230 something?
230.
230.
230, between 230, 235. I get above that, then I don't like where I'm at. So, but it's funny. I played at like 205, 210. I look back at the old pictures when I played, how lean I was. Oh man, like sickly almost. I just, you know what I think it is? If I'd known how to train as much as I know now, I would have carried more weight because it would have been better weight, like more muscle weight,
Right.
Plus
the calories you're expelling in practice and games. I mean, guys lose what, 10, 15 pounds a season, right?
Well, yeah. And even some games you lose, like in a hot playoff game, you can lose 7 or 8 pounds or 9 pounds of water. And in a game, it's amazing how much water.
Well, they say if you go all the way through the cup, especially now because you get to play so many games, you look like a soccer player from the waist down and a ballerina from the waist up.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. All right, brother, good seeing you. Again, the highlight.
Oh, by the way, did you like that Phil Kessel?
Oh yes. So Mark just I think it's because I'm one of the few people that get up at the same time he does. I'll be in the gym at 4:30, and he's always sending me funny jokes and stuff too. So keep me going. All right, brother. Good seeing you. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one, Tom.